Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Yarnoculus. It's time for Granny Square pattern number 7 in our Granny Square series, and this is the beautiful multi-purpose pattern I have for you today. Actually, I'm not sure if I can call it a granny square or it's just a square motif pattern. Let me know in the comments if you think the pattern qualifies to be a granny square in the real sense or not. Either ways, I'll take you through the entire pattern. But before that, if you are new to my channel, welcome. This is the place where you'll get detailed instructions to make gorgeous crochet projects every week. So please consider subscribing to my channel to let me know that you are here, and it would mean the world to me. For my Yarnoculus family, you all know how much I love you and will always be grateful for your time and support. Thank you so much for riding along with me. Alright then, coming back to today's pattern, before I go to the materials, I want to show you some things about this pattern. You can make this pattern as big or as small as possible. So the concept here is that half of the petal length is increment stitches and half of it is decrement stitches. So that way you can get an idea of how big your work's gonna be and plan ahead. And that's why this pattern is a multi-purpose pattern, which means you can make as small squares like this one or even smaller than this and then join it to make a big blanket, or you can make a big placemat just like I did with the dark pink one here, or a pillow cover of the same size or anything that you wish. And that's how this one pattern would serve a lot of purposes for you. One more thing is that I found out this pattern does not look as good with a variegated yarn or a self-striping yarn, so you might want to avoid that for this pattern. Solids of any color would look absolutely gorgeous. So go for a medium weight acrylic or a cotton yarn and you would have a gorgeous looking project on your hook. So that's a perfect segue for me to discuss the materials with you. And for this particular sample that I'm going to show you in today's video, I use the Paintbox Cotton DK in the color Tea Rose. And the corresponding hook for that was a 3.0 millimeter hook. So that's what you'll see me use in this video. Okay, and then apart from that, all you need is a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle to weave in the ends, and you are all set to start with this pattern. Okay, so with all that said, let's not waste any more time and jump straight into this gorgeous pattern. Let's go. Okay guys, for this pattern as well, we're gonna start the same way like we did for all other granny squares in this series, and that's gonna be a magic circle. Okay, so for a magic circle, wrap the yarn around two of your fingers once, wrap it around again, this time over the first loop, slip your hook beneath the first loop and pick up the second loop on your hook, just like that. Slip your fingers out of the magic circle and you have the magic circle ready to go. Okay, if you pull the free end of your yarn right now, you're gonna get a slip knot. So a magic circle is nothing but an unfinished slip knot. Okay, for row number 1, start with a chain stitch and do a single crochet inside the magic circle. So for a single crochet, insert your hook inside the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on your hook. That's a single crochet. After the single crochet, we need chain 2 and a single crochet again. So insert, pull up, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops on your hook. So what you got here is one corner of your square, and that's where the petals are gonna come from. Okay, we need 4 such corners, so repeat this for 3 more times. You're gonna do chain 2 single crochet, chain 2 single crochet and chain 2, and then I'll show you how to end this row. At the end of row number 1, you need to make sure that you have 4 corners. So a corner is made by chain 2. So you need to have 4 chain 2 spaces. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. So once you have that, just close your circle by pulling the free end of the yarn like that and join to the first single crochet with a slip stitch. So there you have it, your mini square, and that was row 1 of this pattern. Okay, for row 2, go into the first gap created by the chain 2 space, just do a slip stitch, and that's where we're gonna start row 2 from. So start with 3 chains. Okay, after the 3 chains, you're gonna do 4 double crochets in this chain 2 gap. So chain 3 counts as a double crochet and you're gonna get a total of 5 double crochets in the gap. So for a double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2. That's a double crochet, and we need 5 double crochets inside this chain 2 gap. 3, 4, and 5. Okay, once you're done with 5 double crochets, do a chain 2 and go into the next gap with a double crochet. So the gap is where you did chain 2 in the previous row. So just go in there and put 5 double crochets. So your repeat for this row is gonna be 5 double crochets in the chain 2 gap and 2 chains between the double crochet clusters. Okay, so do that for all the 4 gaps and we'll take it further from there. Okay, the last thing on row number 2 is gonna be chain 2 and join to the top of the chain 3 that you did at the beginning of this row. Just a simple slip stitch. For row number 3, start with chain 3 and now we're gonna start the increases for our petals. So a chain 3 counts as a double crochet and you're gonna do a double crochet again in the same stitch. So you just increased by 1. Do a double crochet on top of the next 3 double crochets. So just 1 double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous row. And you will do 2 double crochets on top of the last double crochet. So just put 2 double crochets on top of this one. And that's what you're gonna do for every row where you need to increase your petal size. So for every 5 double crochet cluster out here, you're gonna do the same thing. That's 2 double crochets in the first and the last stitch, whereas 1 double crochet each on the top of the middle 3 double crochets. Okay, after that you wanna do a chain 2 and a single crochet in the gap formed by the chain 2 of the previous row. Just go inside the gap and do a single crochet, chain 2 again, and you reach the cluster. So you're gonna do 2 double crochets on top of the first double crochet. One double crochet on top of the next 3. You reach the last double crochet and on top of this you got to do 2 double crochets. Okay, repeat this for the next 2 clusters as well and we'll take it up from row 4 onwards. So at the end of row number 3, the last thing you're gonna do is a chain 2 and join to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch. That completes your row number 3. For row number 4, we again gonna do a increment row. So chain 3 and do a double crochet in the same stitch. Do a double crochet in the next 4 stitches. That would bring you to the last stitch in this cluster, and you're gonna do 2 double crochets on top of that. Same thing that we did for row number 3. Just do an increment row. Now after that you have 2 gaps of chain 2, so you're gonna do a chain 2 first. Go into the first gap and do a single crochet. Chain 2 again. Go into the second gap and do a single crochet. Another chain 2 and go into the next stitch, which is the top of the double crochet from the previous row, with a double crochet. And since this is the first double crochet, we're gonna put 2 double crochets on top of this stitch. Okay, that's gonna be your repeat for row number 4. 2 double crochets on top of the first and the last stitch in the cluster, followed by a chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2. Okay, and that's what you're going to do for the whole of row number 4. I'll see you at the end of row number 4 and we'll see what we need to do for row number 5 onwards. Alright, so at the end of row number 4, the last thing you would have done is a chain 2 and join to the top of the chain 3 that you did at the beginning of this row. And that's how you're gonna do your increment rows. One tip out here is mark your first cluster, like I just marked it with a stitch marker here, and that will help you identify where you got to stop your row and start a new row. So it just gets a little confusing because you go in circles and you would tend to forget your starting point, and that's why the stitch marker would help. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple more rows just like this of increments. So that's gonna be my rows number 5 and 6, where I'm just gonna increment the number of stitches on my petals. So for row number 5 and 6, just do 2 double crochets in the first and the last double crochet of the petal, and do a chain 2, single crochet, chain 2 between the petals, with the single crochet going into the gap. Okay, so I'm just gonna do these 2 rows and I'll be back to show you what it looks like, and we'll take it further from there. Okay, I'll just be back in a minute. Okay guys, so that's how my work looks at the end of row number 6, and I'm gonna stop incrementing here. If you wish to make this bigger, you can just go on adding more rows of increment till you are happy with the size of your work. Okay, now at the end of row number 6, the last thing I'm gonna do is a chain 2 and join to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the row. Okay, so slip stitch. Row number 7 is going to be the middle row of my petal. So I'm going to start with a chain 3. And this is going to be neither a increment row nor a decrement row. I'm just going to do 1 double crochet each on top of the double crochet from the previous row. So do not increment or decrement. This is the middle row of your petal and it's going to be the base for your decrement rows. 1 double crochet over each of the double crochets in the petal. And the same type of gap stitches, which is going to be chain 2, single crochet into the gap, chain 2, single crochet into the next gap, and so on. I'm just going to do this all around my work for row number 7, and we'll take it up from row number 8 onwards when I'm done with these stitches. Okay, so the last thing on row number 7 is going to be a chain 2 and join to the top of the chain 3 that you did at the beginning of this row. That was your middle row for the petals. We are all set for row number 8. So for row number 8, we're gonna start with a chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we need to do a double crochet 2 together in this stitch and the next stitch. Okay, this is to decrement the stitches. So for a double crochet 2 together, yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch as you joined, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop, you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. So you just did a double crochet 2 together stitch, and that's how you're gonna do all of your decrements. Okay, next we're gonna do 1 double crochet each on top of the next 7 stitches. So just a simple double crochet. After 7 double crochets, you would reach the last 2 double crochets, and we need to do a decrement here as well, which is just convert this 2 double crochets into 1 double crochet, just like we did at the beginning. So yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop. 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So you just did a double crochet 2 together for the last 2 stitches. So the stitches between the 2 clusters are gonna remain the same thing, no changes there. So it's chain 2, single crochet in the gap, chain 2, single crochet in the gap, chain 2, single crochet in the gap, and so on for as many gaps as you have. Okay, after the last chain 2, you're gonna reach the first double crochet of the next cluster, and you need to do a decrement. So just like the increment wherein you were increasing first and the last stitches by 1, you're gonna do the decrement as well, where you're gonna decrease the first 2 and the last 2 stitches into 1. Okay, so do this for each of these 4 clusters, and I'll show you how we proceed with row number 9. Okay, let me complete this real quick and we'll take it further. So that's how my beautiful petals look at the end of row number 8, and that was just one row of decrement. So you might not see the pattern develop as much yet, but you're gonna continue doing the same decrements until you're left with just 3 double crochets in every cluster. So go ahead and repeat row number 8 a few more times, and that's gonna complete your motif, and we're just gonna be left with a few rows of the border. Okay, pause the video here while you do your repetitions, and when we come back I'll show you the pattern for the final few rows of this beautiful motif. Okay guys, so I did a few more rows, and now I'm at the end of row number 12, and my petals are also taking up a nice shape. To end this pattern, the last row of the decrements would be when you have 3 double crochets left in every petal. Okay, so at the end of row number 12, the last thing I would do is chain 2, join to the top of the double crochet from the previous row. Okay, and as usual do a chain 3. And for row number 13, I want to do a double crochet joining all of these 3 stitches. Okay, so it's gonna be a double crochet 3 together. Okay, so for that, yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch as you joined, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops and stop, and do this once again for the last stitch as well. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 stitches and stop. So this time you would have 4 loops on your hook, so yarn over, pull through all the 4 loops. Okay, next you're gonna continue the same mesh pattern. That's gonna be chain 2, single crochet in the gap, chain 2, single crochet in the next gap, and so on. Okay, so continue this pattern for all of the 4 petals, and the only thing different with this decrement row is you're gonna do double crochet 3 together instead of 2 together. Okay, and we're gonna do a few more rows after this to complete this pattern. Let me do the repetitions for this row, and I'll come back to tell you the rest of the instructions for this pattern. Okay, Alright guys, at the end of row number 13 where we did the final decrement, the last thing you're gonna do is a chain 2. And you don't need to join to the first stitch here. Instead, we're just gonna continue with row number 14. Okay, so don't join to anything. Go into the top of the petal. That's the last standing double crochet. Okay, do a single crochet, chain 3, and a single crochet in the same stitch. Okay, that's gonna be the corner of your work. And we're gonna create these rows exactly similar to the previous rows. The only difference being we'll do chain 3 instead of chain 2. Okay, so after the single crochet, chain 2 single crochet in the corner, do a chain 3, go into the next gap and do a single crochet, chain 3, next gap, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, and so on. That's the repetition for row number 14, and whenever you reach the top stitch of the petal, you're gonna do single crochet, chain 3, single crochet. And we need to do 3 more rows like this. That's chain 3, single crochet in the gap, chain 3, single crochet in the gap, and the corners are gonna be single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in the same stitch. Okay, continue doing this for the next 3 rows including this one, and that's gonna give your pattern a very nice border. Okay, I'm gonna complete doing that and I'll show you what my final square looks like. Okay guys, so once you're done repeating the mesh pattern 2 or 3 times and you're happy with the size of your work, the last thing you're gonna do is chain 2 and join to the first corner with a slip stitch. Cut out your yarn because you're all done. And just put a knot so that you don't lose your stitches. And there you go, you will have to weave in this end in the back, but for now you're all done with your work. Okay, let me just remove the stitch marker as well, so we don't need it. There you go, that's your finished motif, and I'm going to leave you here today. Hope you like this pattern, and if you did, please smash that like button. I'm gonna see you soon with a brand new beautiful crochet pattern. Till then, take care and happy crocheting.